Martell, despite being married to Melody at the time, maintained a connection with Arionne that went far beyond what many would consider a simple entanglement. This wasn't a one-off situation. This was years of back-and-forth secrecy and, ultimately, exposure that ended up changing the trajectory of not only Martell and Melody's marriage, but also the way the audience viewed him on love and marriage. Huntsville. What makes the Martell and Arionne situation so layered is the way Martell seemed to always straddle two worlds. On one hand, he was the businessman, father, and reality TV husband trying to keep up appearances. On the other, he was maintaining a bond with Arionne that clearly had a strong emotional pull on him. Arionne herself has never shied away from letting people know that Martell wasn't just casually showing up in her life. According to her, he was invested, consistent, and emotionally tied in ways that made her feel like she was more than just a side piece. And that's where the conversation about their dynamic becomes complicated. Because if you really look at it, Martell kept choosing to go back, even when the consequences were clear. For Arionne, that dynamic has always been about validation. She has spent years pushing back against the narrative that she was simply the mistress. She's taken to social media time and time again to insist that she was more to Martell than what fans and cast members wanted to believe. And when you listen to her words, you can tell that part of the reason this storyline never dies down is because Arionne refuses to let it fade into the background. She has openly said that Martell pursued her, that he lied to her in order to keep her involved, saying that she isn't going to carry the blame for a man who was making conscious choices. But what really keeps people talking is the fact that, even after all of this played out publicly, Martell and Arionne's bond hasn't fully disappeared. They share a child together, and that automatically ties them for life. What fans see, though, is more than just co-parenting. They see the back-and-forth shade, the late-night lives, the subliminal posts, and Martell's occasional slip-ups that hint at unfinished business. And for many, this suggests that Martell and Arionne's dynamic is one of those complicated relationships that will always linger, even when both of them claim they're moving on. The other side of this dynamic is how much it has impacted Martell's image. His reputation as a reality star, businessman, and father has been heavily shaped by the way his relationship with Arionne unfolded. Fans look at him differently now, not just because of the affair, but because of the way he allowed it to drag on for so long. And the reality is, when you have someone like Arionne constantly reminding the world of what happened, that image is never going to be completely cleaned up. At the same time, Arionne's dynamic with Martell has kept her tied to this storyline as well. She has built her entire public presence around this connection. And even though she insists she doesn't want the spotlight, she keeps stepping back into it whenever the conversation heats up. That's why the dynamic between them feels less like a closed chapter and more like a lingering thread that continues to weave itself into love and marriage. Huntsville. Whether the cast acknowledges her directly or not. And when you zoom out, the bigger question becomes, is this dynamic toxic attachment, unfinished love, or simply two people who can't let go because of the child they share? The truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. Martell seems torn between protecting his public image and maintaining some kind of private connection with Arionne, while Arionne seems determined to make sure she's never erased from the narrative. Together, that creates the kind of messy, unresolved energy that reality TV thrives on, even if she's not on the show. Now, first off, let's get into Maurice. Child, I don't know what it is with this man because he swears up and down that Marsau a liar, and yes, sometimes Marsau's been the truth. But Maurice? Come on now. You're not exactly Mr. F. Straightforward yourself. What kills me, though, is the way Maurice tries to act like being hard on Jalen was somehow a positive thing. Like it's what shaped him into the man he is today. Sir, let's be clear. Any strength, drive, or resilience that Jalen has didn't come from your so-called tough love. It came from his mother, Kimmi, who raised him as a single mom and instilled all of that in him long before you came along. Period. You sitting at that table with Jalen and Marsau, and you could literally see Jalen hesitating to even say what was really on his mind because of the way you come across. That's not parenting. That's control. And that's why your relationship with him feels strained to this day. And speaking of control, the way Maurice operates in business is the same way. Jalen straight up told him, "This don't feel like a family business. It feels like a dictatorship." And honestly, he's right. That's the vibe Maurice gives off. It's always do what I say, follow my lead, instead of actually working alongside people. No wonder Jalen doesn't want to involve him in his first investment property. He already knows how that'll go. He'll ask for advice, and suddenly Maurice will be acting like he owns the whole project. That's the problem. And it's not just business. That's Maurice's entire approach to relationships dictate. It's control, and then justify it as if it's for everyone's own good. It's exhausting to watch. Now let's slide over to Trish and this birthday photo shoot situation. Because, I had questions. Sis said she wanted a cowgirl-themed birthday shoot. Cute idea, right? But then here comes Ken all up in the pictures like it's his photo shoot. Baby, if it's your birthday shoot, why is he the star of the show? And I don't know about y'all, but to me it just screams that she's trying to oversell her interest in him. Like she's doing the most to make him feel included when the energy between them feels completely uneven. It honestly looks like he's more into her than she's into him, and she's trying to convince him otherwise by putting him front and center. And then he's over here talking about how he wants their 38th year to be one of peace and happiness. Sir, is it your birthday or hers? Make it make sense. But okay. Let's not act like Trish doesn't have a point when she says she doesn't want Marquez at her birthday celebration. I get it. Why bring stress to a party when you're trying to enjoy yourself, especially after everything that's gone down? I wouldn't want that energy around me either. It's that part I can respect. Now, meanwhile, over in Martell's world, things are looking complicated, per usual. It's out here talking about moving Arionne into one of his investment properties. On paper, fine. I guess it makes financial sense. Why pay for multiple places when you've got properties sitting around? But here's what made me roll my eyes. He's suddenly saying he won't move her into his actual house until there. Married boy? What? You were married before and couldn't stay out of that woman's house, and now you suddenly want to have morals. No. What it's giving is that you're still keeping your options open. And even your own words exposed you. The way you said if she's the one, not once, but twice. That says it all. You're not fully committed, you're just settling because nobody else wants to deal with you. That's what it's giving. And then, to top it all off, his mama, Miss Marlene, made it clear she still isn't here for all this. She misses the family the way it used to be, and she's not quick to embrace Arionne, no matter how much time passes. Can't even be mad at her for that because she's seen the damage firsthand.